see everyone. We had to look around a little bit for coffee and donuts, but we found it, so we assume everyone else is okay. This is the panel on fighting for economic democracy. And we have a lot of speakers today. Everybody's going to talk a little bit, and we're going to open to questions and answers. Like any democracy, it might be a little bit rough around the edges sometimes, with so much to cover. I mean, this is the biggest topic of all, isn't it, really? And so we'll try to do justice to it. My name is Richard Cook. I saw a lot of you at the opening session on Friday morning, yesterday morning, when we talked about end of empire. And certainly there's a there's a seamless bond between end of empire and economic democracy. So I think we'll see a lot of themes carried over. I'll read my thing from the program here. Richard Cook, former federal government analyst, whistleblower, scholar of monetary theory and economic reform, and author of Challenger Revealed, an insider's account of how the Reagan administration caused the greatest tragedy of the space age. That came from my NASA days, where I worked on the space shuttle program. 6 weeks after I retired from the government in 2007, I published this book. No need to tell you what I was doing the last year of my employment, but we'll leave that for another time. I do have a new book coming out later on this year. It's called We Hold These Truths, The Hope of Monetary Reform. It will be published by Tendril Press, a publisher in Denver, Colorado. So I hope you all will look for that. Mike and I switched. All I'm really doing is the introduction, and then Mike Whitney will speak, and then the other panelists who are here with us today. We have Dr. David Schweikert, Dr. J.W. Smith, Dr. Robbie Singh, Tammy Belinsky at the end, Jason Schreiner, and Dr. Ian McPherson. So Dr. McPherson stepped out for a minute to come back, so we have a really great panel, and we're going to cover a lot of ground today. By way of introduction, I want to ask a couple questions. How many of you have ever heard of the peace dividend? And did we get it? Okay. How many of you have heard of the leisure dividend?
Check line and mic.
The leisure dividend. You know, the great time off in the sky that technology was supposed to give to us. Did we get it? Well, if we got it, which we didn't, how come so many middle-class people are working 2, 3, 4 jobs, husband and wife, night and day, just to pay the mortgage? So, what is economic democracy? I'm not going to try to answer that. I couldn't. Everybody's going to bring their perspective to it, but I think everyone is going to have certain common things they're going to be talking about. If we are deeply in debt, do we have economic democracy? If we've got a gross domestic product of $13 billion, and on top of that is a total societal debt for business, government, households, and individuals and students of $50 trillion, with another $45 trillion in unfunded federal liability that has caused the former Comptroller General of the United States to declare that the United States is bankrupt, do we have economic democracy? If there is no affordable housing, do we have economic democracy? I live in Williamsburg, Virginia right now, where I'm helping to keep my mother company do my writing. The biggest issue in Williamsburg is there's not enough affordable housing for all of the minimum wage employees they need to run the tourist business. They estimate they need 50,000 more low-wage employees to take care of all the middle-class people who come there for their vacations. They can't afford to live there. If there are no decent jobs, or we can't get credit, if the local economy is starved for purchasing power, if people can only afford to buy at Walmart because everything else costs too much, is that economic democracy? Obviously, the answer to that is no. If we are crushed by the burden of taxation, is that economic democracy? Later on this morning, I'm on a panel called No More Income Tax. Well, it's a nice dream, but when you think of how many taxes people have to pay, and you add state, local government fees, everything else that you pay through the purchases that you make, people say 40% of the cost of stuff you buy is for debt, and you add the tax burden to the debt load, is that economic democracy? If the average American family pays 40% of their total income for taxes, is that economic democracy? So these are some of the questions, I think, that are on the table, and part of the tremendous challenge that this panel certainly has, and I think everyone at this conference, just to kind of wrap our minds around this issue of what is economic democracy.